Hello, everybody. This is Jim Ransom with another edition of Morning Jim Poetry. The folks that were talking about global warming seem to have been slightly off, don't you think? It appears that we are becoming and beginning a new ice age, but who knows? The folks who have the EVs, which I'm told is a short-term way of saying electric vehicles, are discovering that you can't recharge them in this weather. Who would have thunk it? But we are here today not to comment on current events, but to read poetry. The title of our reading today is Unpredictable Poetry. You'll see what I mean starting now. And I'm going to read a poem by the 19th century poet and Catholic, I think it was a Jesuit, Gerard Manley Hopkins. And this poem is going to be called The Windhover, which, well, you'll figure it out here in just a minute. I caught this morning's minion, kingdom of daylight's dolphin, dapple dawn-drawn falcon, in his riding of the rolling level underneath him steady air, and striding high there. How he wrung up the rein of a wimpling wing in his ecstasy. Then off, forth on swing, as a skate's heel sweeps smooth on a bow bend. The hurl and gliding rebuffed the big wind. My heart in hiding stirred for a bird. The achieve of, the mastery of the thing. Brute beauty and valor and act. Oh, air, pride, plume. Here, buckle, and the fire that breaks from thee then, a billion times told, lovelier, more dangerous. Oh, my chevalier. No wonder of it, sheer plod makes plow down Sicilian shine, and blue bleak embers. Ah, my dear, fall, gall themselves, and gash gold vermilion. Did you get all that? Maybe. Let me make a few comments about this. A windhover, as you may guess, is a British slang term for a falcon, or any kind of raptor that glides on the wind looking for its prey. And then at the end, where he talks about a Sicilian. What the heck is that? I had to look it up. A Sicilian is a fresh turned bit of soil, shining after being turned by a plow. And so that's where we get this part here where it says, the wonder of it, sheer plod makes plow down Sicilian shine. When the plow blade cuts through the soil for the first time and turns it over, there's a glistening to it, and that's what's called a Sicilian. And, of course, if you've been really paying attention to the poem, you will notice that in the previous stanza, he says, a billion times told lovelier, more dangerous, etc. And then he says, no wonder of it, sheer plod makes plow down Sicilian. And then in the very last line of the poem, he says, fall, gall themselves, and gash gold vermilion. So you see, this poem has a lot of hidden rhymes. If you go to the very first stanza, you'll see that he's breaking in the first line the word kingdom. It's king dash, and then the first word of the second line is dumb. So he says, I caught this morning's morning minion, kingdom of daylight's dolphin, dapple-drawn falcon, in his riding, on the rolling level underneath him steady ear, and striding, you see that's rhyming with riding, and then the next two lines, wing and swing, rhyme, and then he has a couplet here. It says, as a skate's heel sweeps smooth on a bow bend, the hurl and gliding rebuffed the big wind. My heart in hiding stirred for a bird, the achieve of, the mastery of the thing. And that last line rhymes with the third line above it, in his ecstasy, then off, forth on swing. So you see, there's a lot of rhyming in this poem, but a lot of it is kind of hidden from the reader or the listener because of the way that the poem has been structured. But it's a very beautiful and very cleverly written poem by a unique 19th century poet, Gerard Manley Hopkins. So now let's move on and read a poem that's much more familiar to most of us. It's called The New Colossus. And who wrote it? Why, Emma Lazarus, of course. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows world-wide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries the silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Well, in a way, this poem is very timely, isn't it? Because now we're having not the gift of legal immigration, but the threat of overwhelming illegal immigration. And I don't think Emma Lazarus was thinking of that when she wrote this poem. And I might say that much about this statue in New York Harbor was sort of created by this poem. And she talks about Mother of Exiles, meaning the United States, and in the brazen giant of Greek fame, the original Colossus of Rhodes, the statue was said to be astride from land to land and so stand over the entrance to the harbor. Well, no. That has been studied very carefully, and there's no way that a statue that large would have been created back then, and it would not have been astride the entry to Rhodes. At least that's the modern statement of it. And so the golden door, the very last line of this sonnet, rhymes with two lines before it. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. And of course, this, as you no doubt noticed, this poem has a fairly complex rhyme scheme. You know what it is if you've read this poem. But it is a rhyming sonnet in the classic sense of the word. Now, let's see here. One other thing about the Statue of Liberty, and that is that it was quite a bit of time before the poem was actually attached to the base. The poem was not originally planned to be a part of the statue. Emma Lazarus didn't create the poem until the statue was actually in the process of being installed. And she didn't get paid for it either. Too bad. Now, we're going to have one more poem, and this will be a very modern poem by a poet whose name is Susan Mitchell, and the poem is called The Bear. Let me get hold of it here. Okay, here we go. The Bear by Susan Mitchell. Tonight, the bear comes to the orchard and, balancing on her hind legs, dances under the apple trees, hanging onto their boughs, dragging their branches down to earth. Look again. It is not the bear, but some after image of her, like the car I once saw in the driveway after the last guest had gone. Snow pulls the apple boughs to the ground. Whatever moves in the orchard, heavy, lumbering, is clear as wind. The bear is long gone. Drunk on apples, she banged over the trash cans that fall night, then skidded downstream. By now she must be logged in for the winter, unless she is choosy. I imagine her as very choosy, sniffing at the huge logs, pawing them, trying each one on for size, but always coming out again, until tonight. Tonight, sap freezes under her skin. Her breath leaves white apples in the air. As she walks, she dozes, listening to the sound of axes chopping wood. Somewhere she can never catch up to trees are falling. Chips pile up like snow. When she does find it finally, the log draws her in as easily as a forest, and for a while she continues to see, just ahead of her, the moon, trapped like a salmon in the ice. That's a beautiful poem, and as you've figured out, it's kind of starts out with a lie. It says, tonight the bear comes to the orchard. Well, that didn't happen, and Susan Mitchell admits it. But she goes on to take various views of this she-bear and winds them up into a lovely poem in which the bear ends up inside a hollow tree trunk where she will hibernate for the winter season. I think that's an amazing bit of poetry. Well, that's it for today. These are poems both important and lovely, though not always both. I hope you will find and read other samples of the poetry of Gerard Manley Hopkins, of Emma Lazarus, and of the much more recent and modern Susan Mitchell. The poem we read from her is from the 1980s. Hope we can get together next week for another round of readings, and in the meantime, goodbye and good luck.